Alina Tremblay, welcome to OB Boss Babes.
Thank you. Finally.
I know. Alina, anybody who meets you for the first time might have similar perceptions of what I'm about to describe about you.
Okay.
So they see this beautiful woman in a dream neighborhood, a gorgeous home-based studio that's brand new, but they may not know that you're a proud mom to 5 kids, 3 under 4, you're a newlywed, and you are one talented and sought-after hairstylist. But they don't know the whole story about you. They don't know that you were a single mother to your first 2 girls. You were only 20 years old when you gave birth to your firstborn daughter, Everly.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start around there when you first became a young mom and how life completely changed for you.
Well, I got pregnant with Everly when I was in hair school, actually. I was only 3 months to being done. So it kind of worked out because I was still able to graduate hair school and then start a job and still work those 600 hours to be able to get maternity leave. So for me, that did work out. I ended up with, I did have a child young, but I got my education, was able to start my apprenticeship before I had her. But I mean, it wasn't easy by any means. I think I was in this like blissful thinking that I'm like, I can do this. It's fine. It's going to be great. It's going to be, and I've learned a lot over the last, 9 years of her life. I've also obviously had more kids after. And yeah, I mean, Everly and Claire, obviously I love all my kids, but I look at Everly and Claire and it's like, I did all of this for you. Like, I feel like they are my drive because I'm not with their dad. I always just feel a bit more protective, I think, of them too. Me having been raised in a split household, I just kind of can connect to that on that level with them. And yeah, there's just everything that I am today is truly inspired by those 2 girls, for sure.
Now, I know that having kids matures any woman. I think that's easy to say. You have to grow up. You have to take on new responsibilities. Yeah. You can't be selfish anymore. But Alina, who was Alina Tremblay before she had kids?
Honestly?
Yeah.
I partied a lot. I was definitely a wild teenager, very much in love at the time, very kind of had this idea of life as like everything's not going to be okay. And just this ridiculous, to be honest, vision of life. And it really kind of grounded me when I had Everly. And it's almost like the second she was born, it was like none of that mattered to me anymore. Mm-hmm. And I haven't looked back, it's almost like I was made to be a mom, truly. It's like everything just seemed like this is where I'm supposed to be when I had her. Yeah.
And I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Once that moment happens and you're immersed in it for a couple months. Yes.
Yeah.
Everything changes and you feel that gratification and this is my purpose. This is what I was
100%.
meant to do.
100%.
But let's go back though, Alina, because again, you're probably 19 years old when you find out that you're pregnant. What was that moment like for you?
I remember I had a movie night planned out with one of my girlfriends. At the time, me and my now ex, we were living separately. He was living here in Petawawa working and I was still in North Bay finishing hair school. So anyway, I was living on my own, had a movie night with my girlfriend. And I was 2 weeks late for my period. And the girls in hair school would say to me, maybe you're pregnant. And I'd say no, I'm not pregnant, And anyway, so literally, we went to the Dollarama, I remember, to get literally went to Dollarama to get snacks and treats because we're going to have this movie night. It was super exciting with wine. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get one of these pregnancy tests from the dollar store just because they keep bugging me about it.
Yeah.
And I literally peed on it and it was instantly right there. And I looked at it and I got so nauseous. I'm assuming that was probably from fear. I don't know. Yeah. And I called my ex and I was like, you need to sit down. You need to sit down. I'm freaking pregnant, And he took it decently well, I would think, for the age that we were. And yeah, I was in total shock. It took me a few weeks, I think, not that I didn't think I was ready. I think it's just I think you imagine this moment and then it happens and your first initial thought is oh my God, this can change my life. It's kind of I don't know how to describe that feeling. I think you just have to go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. It's
it's like that.
The movie.
It's no, it's not I'm sure for some people it is, and that's great. Especially if you've been trying for a long time. But when it happens kind of surprisingly like that, not when you were planning for it to happen in your life. It's almost like finding out you're having twins. An outer body.
Yes, and we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, lo and behold, that's something you have experienced.
Yeah.
You really have experienced it all, Alina. Like, but I
Yeah.
know what you mean, though, with that moment, because it's nothing that we can predict. It's nothing that we can plan.
No.
And I understand what you're talking about, because all 3 of my pregnancies have all been in different situations, but all 3 of my pregnancies have been like that too. Like, I was not expecting, I don't think any of them, I don't think you're ever really expecting them, but I took them all at different times, and my reactions were also different, because one was just, it happened so quickly. I was very fortunate to have a really quick pregnancy and was like, oh my gosh, this worked out so great. And then the second time, kind of the same thing, where it happened pretty fast. The third time, it was, we had been trying for quite some time. And so we weren't expecting to see that line right away. And so I think that
It's shocking.
it is shocking. And so,
Blissfully shocking. Yeah.
but every moment, though, is just so exciting when you experience that. What was your support system like, Alina, during that time?
Not the best at that time. At that time, I was the only person in my entire family that lived in Ontario. My mom and my sisters and siblings, they all live in the United States. And my dad at the time was posted to Nova Scotia. And my whole family lives in Montreal. So I was literally by myself with my ex and his family, which, I mean, they're great, but it's, it's nice to have your own family, especially as a pregnant woman. And I think I just knew at that time, like, I got to take care of me. And I just did that. I followed through with that. And, when I met Chris and had this amazing family that came along with that, then I realized, like, what I had been missing all this time, which at the time wasn't.
Yeah.
And, like, something I thought about.
Yeah.
I was just focused on, like, I need to finish college. I need to get this apprenticeship. I need to have this baby. And, like, very much, like, timed like that.
Well, let's kind of focus on that a little bit with your career. Like, how did you decide that it was hairstyling that you wanted to pursue as a career?
I've always wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I remember being, when you're, like, in kindergarten and they ask you what you want to do when you grow up, and everyone's like, I want to be a police officer or, like, a firefighter. I always said, I'm going to be a hairdresser and a singer. I always said that. I can't really sing, but I think that was, like, I don't know. My daughter says the same thing to me now, but
you could be like on a cruise ship and doing people's hair for weddings or something.
Yes, I literally, like, always said I wanted to do hair. Yeah. So it wasn't like I didn't have to dig through for this. It was like dig hard, sorry. Like, literally I finished high school and it was like, that's what I'm going to do. And I went for it. And it's been what I've done ever since.
Now, how did you navigate motherhood and work, especially in an industry, Alina, that is so competitive, to stand out? And when you have to start out with a super flexible schedule, you're working days, you're working evenings, you're working weekends, in order to build up a strong clientele.
Okay, so the first 4 years of my career, I worked in a salon that was walk-ins only. So I had nothing to do with building clientele, which really worked out for me for having Everly and Claire, because I could go on mat leave and I wasn't upsetting anybody. It was like I could just come back when I'm done my mat leave and it's good. We just kind of start where we left off,
Yeah.
So there, I didn't experience any of that. When I had Madeline, I did, because at that point I worked in a different salon that was clientele based and I had built a clientele by that point. So there was definitely, like, you feel really bad because I wanted to spend as much time with my baby, but I also didn't want to lose my clients, right? So there's always that kind of, anyway, I still always took the year.
Yeah.
To me, that was more important. Like, I always felt like looking back, I'm going to regret if I don't do that. And, if I mean as much to my clients as they mean to me, in my mind, I was like, they'll come back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of focused on that, which honestly mostly did happen. So
Now, I need to know, Alina, because I remember meeting you when your girls were still young and you didn't have a supportive husband. You didn't have anybody. You were a single mom doing this on your own. And again, we have to remember, like, your family's still in the States. They're not nearby. What were you doing when you were working in a different hair studio and you got calls from daycare or from school saying you need to come, like, and you're in the middle of foils?
So at that time, my dad had been posted to Ottawa. So at that time, if I needed help, like, last minute, he was always there to help me out.
But Ottawa is still a 2-hour drive.
Oh, well, I mean, like if somebody called me and I was doing foil, I mean, no, like at that point I had to tell the daycare, like, you're just going to have to wait. Like, you're going to have to keep my daughter there for like at least until I'm done.
Right.
But it was definitely difficult, honestly, that there's just so much of it. Like, I think because I was so young and none of my friends could relate at that time, none of them had kids. I didn't really have friends that had children, or even clients really that had children. They were all like younger.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to say, like, I have to move your appointment, or I can't do your hair today because one of my kids, they did not understand that.
Right.
Which made it so awful for me because I just felt so bad. I just always felt so bad. And now I would say it's a lot easier because a lot of people have kids and we've gone through COVID and they just understand that that's my priority and I have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I just did not have help. I feel like I've blocked out that part of my life. Like, I don't remember how I did it. I just did it. Like, on a day-to-day, I just took the punches and did it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Any specific time that I could think of, like, I can't. Like, I just remember rushing out of the salon and, being like, oh, shit, like calling my clients. But at the same time, like, what do you want me to do? I had to get my kids. So
that's so hard, though,
yeah,
to relate to that when you're not in that 100%. Same kind of mindset or with kids as you. And like going back to the selfishness aspect, I mean, I remember what I was like in my 20s. Only you come first because there's nobody else. So, I mean, I look at my sister who doesn't have kids and I'm like, you lucky bee. You get to sleep all day when you're sick. You don't have to get up in the morning and get kids off. Even going to daycare, like even to be your best self for your children, let alone have a career where you have young clientele who just don't understand it. That can be really hard.
I also think like life is about perspective, like from my perspective, it was like, this is all I can do, like this, right. Whereas from your perspective, when you did not have kids or my young 20-year-old clientele didn't, I knew that for them, it was like the end of the world and I was really angering them. So that's, I think, why I felt so bad, because I could put myself in their shoes and be like, they just don't know. Like, they're not capable of understanding it because they just don't understand it, right? And I knew that, which anyways, I figured, one day they'll understand and it'll be okay. And yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. You had to grow up and mature really fast during that time, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I was 22 with 2 kids.
Yeah.
And yeah, people tell me all the time, like, there's no way you're only 29.
I know.
I am.
I know.
Yeah. Do I look old? Like,
you're wise beyond your years, Alina. That's why. Okay, so let's fast forward to your career and talk about how you achieved the various pillars as a hairstylist. So this includes professionalism, mindset, emotional intelligence, being business savvy, and knowing your various skill sets, so knowing your talents. How would you say, Alina, that you have successfully achieved each of these valuable pillars that have led you to where you are today?
I mean, I don't want to like sound like I'm better than everybody. Like, I feel like I don't want to talk like that, but I honestly, Holly, I don't know. Like, I just do what I do. I'm a very compassionate person. I think that maybe has helped me get to where I am today because, if a client calls me and like they have to cancel last minute, I'm like, okay, where like, I get it. It's okay. I've been there. Like, I understand where, as I know other places, you may have to pay like a cancellation fee, which not saying that may not lead to that one day, but I just always try to come with like a compassionate ear no matter what. Like, I think when clients are in my chair, like, I want to help them. I don't want to just do their hair. Like, I want to talk about like your deepest, darkest secrets and like help you in any way if I can. Like, I want to be your therapist the next 3 hours, So I think I've just really connected with my clients, and I think that's a big part, honestly, as to why they come back. I know I'm good at what I do. Yeah, I'm sure that helps too. But I really think the relationship, honestly, is what has led me where I am today.
Yeah.
I think is my, like, how I am with people. I think that's the biggest thing.
I think what it is too, Alina, is like everything that we're talking about the maturity aspects. We're talking about the growth you've experienced. We've talked about the different elements of places that you've worked and the knowledge that you've gained and you see what works and what doesn't work for other business owners, especially being a part of a team where you see somebody running the show and you've been like, I can do this a little bit differently, or now I know what not to do.
100%.
Right?
It's all in here. I watch everything. Like,
Yes.
from the sidelines quietly, but I just take it in. Like, there's so many lessons that I've learned from different bosses that I've had, or, different coworkers I've worked with. And I'm like, I would never do that, or that's really cool. Like, I will do that if I'm ever in that position, and I just remember it all, and I'm just trying to put it together and be this. I'm not a boss by any means, but you know what I mean? Like, just.
I think, yeah, you are.
You are myself, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Alina, now we have to get candid and talk about the elephants in the room for hairstylists. And those are the inner voices of perfectionism, comparison, and imposter syndrome. You deal with all of these just like the rest of us on a daily basis. So it's like saying, I need to get that bang cut right. I didn't tone her hair to look exactly like that picture that she showed me. Or I'm not good enough to own my own studio. We may have heard those words come out of your mouth at some point, Alina, between our conversations. But how have you internally battled with perfectionism and overcome the comparison trap?
I compare myself, I think, to social media. Like, I wouldn't say I compare myself to, this specific stylist in Renfrew County or this one in Petawawa or Pembroke. Like, it's more so just social media. And I'm like constantly like, I can do this. I'm going to, take a course and be able to do this specific thing that nobody else around here does. Like, I know that I learned very, very quick when it comes to this industry, and it just clicks for me. I don't know. Like, but I also think I'm just me, like I'm just this small town mom with 5 kids, this little studio in my garage, which is great. Like, that's where I need to be right now. But like, you always say to me, Alina, you have such imposter syndrome. Like, I don't even know what that means. Like, I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah. So, and I want to kind of like touch on this a little bit further and dive into it, because I feel like we all have that imposter syndrome in us where we don't feel like we're good enough, or that there's someone doing it better. Like, I need to talk about the studio aspect, Alina, because putting it out there on the table, like when you first opened up Modern Maine here, you were like, but this is in my garage. Like, I mean, I've transformed a garage, and I'm like, but Alina, look at what you've done. You get to have the best of both worlds. You get to have a studio space that's like right attached to your home. You don't have to pay rental costs. You don't have to be rushing to go put a note on your door to say we're closed today because I have to run my kids to, I don't know, to Chio or something for last minute. Like, you don't have to worry about those things.
That's
so like,
true.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
which is why I did it. That was my plan. It was because of the kids.
Do you think your perspective has kind of changed though since then?
Yes. You want me to dive into that?
Yes, please.
Okay. I feel like I've loved being in this place. I love it. I love the convenience of it. I love that, I don't even have to brush the snow off my car in the morning. I just have to walk in, other than dropping the kids off. But my husband's great and he does that. So I think I'm like, there's certain parts of being by myself here that I really miss as in like an actual salon setting. Like, I miss having coworkers. I miss that bond. Like, as much as I see clients, but they're coming in and out, and I see them every 2-3 months, every 6 months, depending. And I miss that relationship, and I miss like the privacy of like going to work and then like coming home and not having all blended like into one. So I think in the future, I definitely have plans, and I would like to, expand. And I don't know that I want to be a boss and have staff as much as I want to have like coworkers. Like, so like, I think that's where that I need to figure out what I want.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to expand. I know that. I just have to find the right spot.
Yeah. Now, Lena, you and I both know that, I mean, I am easily one to say that you are one of the most sought after hairstylists in the Ottawa Valley. And we're going to get into why that is in a little bit.
Okay.
But I feel like you are so humble when I or anybody else like brings this to your attention, and you just are so down to earth, and you don't downplay it, but you do, but you don't. Where you kind of recognize, like, I know my worth, I know my value, I know I'm skilled, and I know that I'm talented. But yet we still have those times in ourselves where, again, like the self-doubt creeps in, or you think, oh my gosh, like am I questioning my ability or my talents? Like we're human. It's gonna happen. We all have those days. But would you say that you've developed more self-confidence as you've recently celebrated 1 year in business being a solopreneur, or is this something that you would say that you're still working on?
I'm definitely still working on that. I mean, I'm very proud that I made it 1 year. Very proud. With that many kids, there's been some ups and downs, but I wouldn't say that I'm more confident, like less confident. I'm very confident in my work. Like doing hair, I know that I know what I'm doing, and you can show me a picture and I know that I will get your hair exactly there. No, maybe not in one time, but we will get there, you know, and I will tell you if I don't think that we can. But in all the other aspects, like I'm definitely still, I need to work on that confidence, because I honestly just think I'm just me, and like you're you, and like
Yeah.
like I think I don't think I'm
special
better than
yeah.
No, like I mean, I'm just, like I said, good old small town mom.
I'm just Alina.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
100%.
before you had your boys, you were working with the Valley Roots team in downtown Pembroke when you decided to step away from hairstyling,
Okay.
Alina, and you went into the corporate world.
Okay, so I need to clear this out.
Yes.
I get this question all the time. So the girls at Valley Roots, amazing. I love Peyton, still very close to her to this day. But that was that prime COVID year. Like that was the 2020, 2021, where like my children were homeschooled, 8 months out of those 10 months. Like it was craziness. And I had a daughter, Madeline, at that time would have been 1, and that was her first year of daycare, where anyone who has young children, we all know the first and second year of daycare is hell when it comes to sickness and being called. Well, that was COVID time, so that was even worse. That was like, oh, she had a little runny nose, you know, and oh, well, she can't come into daycare for 14 days. Like it was insanity, and probably some of the most stress I think I've ever been in my entire life, because at that time my husband was also working away. So he was gone half the time. So half the time it was just me with, you know, trying to juggle somehow homeschooling my kids while I'm working out of the house and I'm getting calls. Like I remember having my phone, Peyton would let me have my phone on my station, where, because I said to her, if I get a call from the daycare, like I have to pick it up. And my phone would ring and I'd like instantly just panic. I remember that, because I'm like, oh, thank God it's not the daycare, because I knew that if it was, I'm now upsetting this current client, upsetting the rest of those clients. So anyway, that just stressed me out so much that when Christmas time happened that year, the government closed down hair salons again, like a couple of days before Christmas. And I was honestly so upset. And I'm like, I can't just keep doing this either. Like being at work, having to apply to EI, having like, that was a hard time, like for everybody, you know? And I'm like, my kids are homeschooled. I need to find something that is steady and that I can afford my life without having to know if like this is my last day that I can work this month, and having no control over that. So anyway, that's honestly why I did it. Not because I didn't want to do hair anymore. That was, you know, I was just trying to do what I had to do for my family at that time.
Yeah. It's so funny how we have to clear up these rumors in a small town, because people make their assumptions, or they think, oh, Alina's stepping away from hairstyling. But I know for being...
At that time, I had no choice.
Yeah. But I mean, like, in that, like, as a client, Alina, like, I mean, I was like, is she ever going to come back? Like, what's she doing? And then, you know, and everybody at Valley Roots, I have to say, especially Peyton, were so supportive of this new venture for you. Everybody was so excited. And I remember Peyton saying, she was like, I don't think this is it. Alina's not going to like it, but we're not going to tell her that.
Yeah.
We're going to be supportive of her.
Oh, no, I did not.
Going to go off and do everything. But she's like, don't worry, Holly, she'll be back. Everything's okay.
Yeah. I would have gone back to Valley Roots.
Yeah.
That was not like, I only didn't because then I had a couple more babies.
Yeah.
And I was scared of this daycare situation again, which is literally the reason why I opened this, so that I could try to manage both.
Yeah.
And, you know, anyways.
All right. So you and Chris decided we are going to expand our family one more time and have one more baby. One more baby. And in 2021, you guys found out that you were expecting twin boys.
Yes.
Now, I have to just share from my own experience. Both times after our daughter was born, both times after having our kids, my husband was like, wouldn't it be great to have twins? And I'm like, no, it would not. No, it would not. Because first, not only do I feel like you kind of get gypped of that mat leave, but it's just such a whirlwind. And there's so much going on. Not to mention, it takes a toll on your body. And for anybody that experiences sickness, that's a double whammy. And Alina, your pregnancy with your boys and that following It was
Yeah.
not easy for you.
No, it's still not actually. Better, but when we found out we were pregnant with the twins was still during COVID. So at that time, you couldn't bring your spouse in for an ultrasound. Like, it was just me. I mean, I had a few children, so I knew what to expect at a dating ultrasound.
Yeah.
And that one, just right off the bat, started like a little bit different. Like, she asked me, she's like, "Oh, have you had an ultrasound yet?" And I was like, "No." And I was like laying there, and she goes, "Okay, I'm going to show you something." And turned the screen, and it was like right there, like 2 sacs. And she's like, "You're having twins." And I literally remember being like, no, I'm not. And I was like pinching myself. Like, I'm like, this is not real. Like, I started sweating, and I'm thinking, 5 kids? Who has 5 kids?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're here and they're absolutely amazing. And I would not give them back, obviously. But it's not been an easy road. That pregnancy physically for me was probably one of the hardest things I've ever experienced. Literally almost died giving birth. Like, I had to be rushed into the OR and given blood transfusions and all that. And then when I thought, okay, like, once they're out of me, it's going to be easier. It's going to be better. Well, it wasn't, because our one son, as you know, has a heart condition. So we were back and forth to CHEO for the first-ish 2 months of his life.
Yeah.
Again, during COVID time. So the twin wasn't allowed at CHEO. So me and Chris, for that whole time, would spend one night with Beckham at home and the 3 other kids, while the other one was at CHEO with Miller. And then the next day, we would pack up newborn Beckham and switch, and I would spend the night. Like, we just did that for so long. And I think all of that, the sleep deprivation, that awful pregnancy.
Postpartum.
Yeah, I honestly just went through like horrific postpartum depression for sure with that pregnancy, which I think I'm still healing from, which is honestly kind of frustrating, because I'm like, okay, they're 2 now. Like, when are my hormones going to level out?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's another thing I'm working on.
And you're also looking after 3 other kids.
Yeah. And some, like, my 2 older girls are older, and so they're starting to pick up on things, right? Like, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago, I'm driving Claire to dance, and she's like, "Mommy." And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Are you okay?" And I literally was like, "Yeah, like, why wouldn't I be okay?" And she's like, "Well, just sometimes you look sad." And it, like, really, I was like, oh my God, like, they can see that, you know? And like, I don't even think about it. Like, I think I'm just, you know, anyone who has experienced that, or even any kind of like anxiety or depression, I think you know that it comes in waves, right? Some days you're on top of the world, whereas other days I wake up and I just know, like, today is gonna suck. And
Yeah.
still put your shoes on and do your day.
Yeah.
So
Gotta keep going.
yeah, you do, and I do, and that's okay. But yeah, some days are definitely harder than others, but a lot easier, that I would say, than that first year for sure. Yeah.
But Alina, one of the things actually that I was so proud of you for was that you kind of took some accountability, but also some transparency, and talked a little bit to your followers on the socials, which you've never done before. And you know what, to be honest, not a lot of us do. Not a lot of us really put it out there and say, like, I'm going through some shit.
Yeah.
You have to remember, I'm a mom to 5 kids. I'm trying to do the best that I can. And I'm going to have some hard days, and there are going to be some messages that get missed. Maybe 700.
Well, I didn't want to talk about the fact that I have 5 kids, because I didn't want that to come off as like an excuse, because it's, and
No, but I think it's valid.
like, that's, I wouldn't even, like, I just think it's me. Like, I get, even if my kids are in bed, you know, like, yes, okay, they're in bed, it's 8:30, 8:45. Like, yeah, I could take an hour and, you know, get through messages and stuff. But there's just days where I'm in such a rut mentally that I physically can't do it. So that's where I didn't want it to come off like, oh, it's my kids. Like, it's not, I mean, I'm freaking busy, because of my kids. But that part was me. Like, and I want to take accountability for that, because I could do it and I choose not to, because I just can't sometimes. And then I let it accumulate and I get super anxious about, you know, and I just needed to kind of get it out there, hopefully start a fresh slate. And which I've been actually good this weekend. I've been answering people.
Good for you.
Hello and welcome to LB. I'm Katie Tullis, the Community Development Officer for the Township of Laurentian Valley. If you are a business owner or looking to start a business, let's start a conversation to see how I can help you with your business. I can point you to business resources. I can invite you to add your business to our business directory. This is a great way for us to stay connected and to have LV help you with your business and to see how we can work together. So welcome to LV, and I look forward to speaking with you. Great.
For 25 years, Vogue Cleaners and Alterations have been serving the dry cleaning needs of the Valley. 48-hour service is available for incredible results from Renfrew County's only eco-friendly dry cleaning machine. Laundry and linen service is now offered for healthcare and commercial sectors too. Plus, Vogue's in-house tailor can help you achieve a perfect fit or repair your favorite garment. Vogue Cleaners and Alterations. Find them on Facebook and Instagram, or better yet, come say hi and meet the team. 274 Pembroke Street West.
I'm April, the proud owner of Mudita Medical Aesthetics. Mudita, defined as vicarious joy, taking delight in the happiness, success, and well-being of others, perfectly captures my aspirations for my practice. With over a decade in mental health nursing, I recognize the positive effects that self-care has on our confidence and our emotional well-being. From starting the day with a simple skincare routine, putting on a great pair of jeans that fit just right, or indulging in the rejuvenating effects of a neuromodulator treatment, these are all ways that we're building up our positive self-image. That confidence plays a role in our interpersonal relationships and our personal development, impacting both individual well-being and success in various areas of our lives. Each client I meet has unique goals, from mature clients hoping to slow down the signs of aging to younger individuals adopting preventative measures. Whatever your goals are, I'm proud to offer diverse services that contribute to your individual happiness, success, and well-being.
Okay, so you have the boys.
Yeah.
Fast forward that they're now a little over a year old, and now you're thinking to yourself, I think I'm ready to go back. I think I'm ready to go back to hairstyling. What was this decision like for you, and like how did you make that decision not only to go back to hairstyling, but then open up your own studio, go into business yourself?
Okay, so they were actually only about 6 months when I decided that. It was actually my dad and my stepmom, which they're like my biggest supporters. They came over for supper one day and they sat me down and they were like, Alina, like, we know you're not going back to this job. You hated this job, like the work from home corporate job. I was like, yeah. I'm like, I still have 6 months to figure it out. Like, I'm like, can't think about this. And they said to me, they were like, we have never seen you happier than when you were a hairdresser. Like that's your calling. That's when you're, your full self. Like so they were like, we are, going to help you out. And what if you do your salon from your house?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, where? Like, I mean, my salon, my garage at this point was like full of stuff. And they're like, no, like we're going to put in the hours. We're going to renovate your garage. We'll, get yourself a storage unit, whatever it is you need to do to get all the stuff that was in here out of here, and let's do this. And it was literally within like a week I thought about it. I'm like, let's do this. I'm a very spontaneous gal when I need to be. And and then literally my dad was like here almost every weekend that summer, and I opened October 18th. So from like April to October, it was like literally, Holly, we'd have the twins in the garage when it was like concrete flooring while we're trying to frame the walls, and like they'd just eat their little crackers, like 6-7 months old. Then we'd be in here renovating.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it was a very spontaneous decision, but it really, brought me a lot of happiness. And
yeah. So how old were they then when you officially launched your business then?
So they were born November 5th. So they would have turned one like a couple weeks after I first opened.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I wanted it to match like my year of mat leave. I wanted to be home with them for as long as possible. I also at that time had no childcare and was trying to figure all that out. But yeah, I wanted it to be around that time, and October is just a good month. Like everyone's happy in October, it's fall, and like, let's do this. And yeah, I've never looked back.
So what did rebuilding your clientele look like, Alina? I know I was so excited when I saw that Facebook post and you're like, I'm back and I'm ready to get back behind the chair. I'm ready. I have my
Yeah.
my own studio space. This is what's happening. Everybody get ready. Here's my launch date. What was the response like from people?
I was so nervous. I typed out that post probably 10 times and I just kept deleting it. I'm like, no, not today. I'm not posting it today. Because I was so nervous. I was afraid of the feedback. Like, you know, at this point I've had 4 kids, 4 pregnancies, you know, I had left 4 times and I'm like, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, she's just gonna have another kid. Like, I don't know. I just like played all sorts of scenarios in my head. And eventually Chris was like, you just need to post it, like type it out. And then he's like, just press it. And so anyways, I got so much love for that post, which made me so happy. There were so many people that instantly booked right then and there because I linked.
Oh, I was waiting for that book to open up.
Yeah. As soon as I posted it, it was like my phone ding, 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 ding. And it felt so good. I was so nervous, probably for no reason, but it really worked out. Yeah. And it made me so happy.
Yeah. Again, just getting back to the imposter syndrome though, you know, getting in our head thinking, am I going to have to start from scratch?
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is scary. It is scary when you take a break and then you think to yourself, like, what if my clients have found their new dream hairstylist and they don't want to get away from them? Like, I don't want to go back.
Took the words out of my mouth. That is exactly what I would think. And even you, like your hair, I would see like you post photos and your hair looked so good. And I'm like, you know, maybe she really likes this new hairdresser. Like it's hard not to think that way because I've been gone for a while. And I'm trying to, again, think of someone's perspective. And it's like, if I, you know, got a service done from someone that was gone for a year and a half, almost 2 years, like, would I go back? I don't know. I've never been in that situation, probably, if I really like the person. But you can't help but wonder that, right? It's like, I feel like it'd be almost toxic to not worry about that.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's dive into this a little bit further and dissect it because I want to talk about cheating. Okay. So, like, let's say that someone had just started up with you and you and I have had these conversations a couple times, and it's only taking me having a conversation actually with another hairstylist, Alina, to kind of appreciate it a little bit more because it's just because of the relationship that you and I have.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, with a mom, you know, it's one thing for your mom to say something, but it takes another person to say it to kind of like resonate.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So a lot of us, though, we don't think twice, right? Like we go and we go and get our hair done by a certain stylist, and then I go to book with you, and then I see that your calendar is booked solid for the next 3 months. Well, that's my fault because I should have booked with you the minute I pre-book, or the minute I go to leave, and I know better to book my next hair appointment with you. But I didn't do that, and so you're not available, but so and so is. And so, what is your opinion on this? What do you think about cheating clients, especially those that you would say are relatively dedicated to you?
I feel like it depends the client. There's a lot of factors here. Like it depends, I think, the relationship I have with them. Again, I understand if like you can't get in with me, like you're still a human being, you still want to have your hair done. Like I 100% get that part. I would never get frustrated about that. Unless I've had to fix your hair and it's taken us months and months to get your hair in a good place, you know, where in my opinion, it's very healthy. We're finally getting to that color. It's looking good. Like we're both happy. And then there's that fear, okay, now you're going to go see somebody else and I may have to go and do all of this over again, which honestly, damaged hair makes my job a lot harder, like a lot more complicated. And so I think there's that part, but I wouldn't say I ever get mad. No, I definitely don't get mad. It doesn't make me mad. I think it's a hard thing to say. Like, if it was you, I would be more sad.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, you could have just texted me. Like, I could have done it on the weekend or something, you know? I think, like, it depends the relationship. But overall, generally, no, I don't care. I don't care.
Do you think that clients should be honest and be telling you and say, like, Alina, I'm just letting you know I couldn't get in with you, so I did go to see somebody else.
Most people tell me.
Yeah.
Or I can tell right away.
Well, that's just it. You can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell if somebody has used
and I'll call them out every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, so, or you did your hair or someone did it wrong. I did my hair. Yeah. Okay, let's fix that, you know?
Yeah. Hairstylists know their craft. They're not stupid.
Yeah. I can literally, like, even the way like people foil, like I can tell it's not me.
Yeah.
Or I also know how long ago I've seen you. I can tell that your regrowth is not anywhere matching the time frame that you last been here. We could tell every time.
Yeah. Now, one thing I'm learning to get better at myself is setting boundaries in business, but that can be really, really hard. We live in a time where our phones allow us to be so accessible.
Yeah.
There are so many ways that people can get a hold of us. They know now your studio. They know it's attached to your home. I don't know if you've ever had this, but people showing up and knocking on your door. Alina, I need an appointment. I know you're closed today, but I really need it. And I know you do tend to bend over backwards. You do tend to fit people in on your days off, in the evenings. You sometimes will overbook yourself in order to accommodate. But you know that you have to have client boundaries in place for yourself. I mean, I love talking about your wedding, Alina, too, because you were apologizing to everybody that you could not have everyone at your wedding. And I think the hard thing, too, being a service provider who is so down to earth, so friendly, so connected to their clients, it could be really hard to separate that client-friend relationship. So it's like, is this somebody that we hang out with on a regular basis? Do I text this person? Do we talk?
Yeah.
Or is this strictly a client? How do you set those boundaries for yourself for both work and also with personal?
I don't really, to be honest. I think I have a really hard time with that.
Yeah.
Like the reason why I had such a small wedding was for that exact reason. I mean, there's other stuff, obviously, but I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings because I don't know how they feel about me. Like this is where there's like a gray area, right? Like whereas when I'm with a client, we get really deep, we get sometimes emotional, you know, and it's like I now feel like I'm really close to this person. Do they feel the same towards me, or are they just like this with everyone that they go to for a service? But then vice versa. Like sometimes I'm just, you have to think I do this day in and day out. So there's times where I'm just having a casual conversation, and now I have these clients messaging me in the evening, and it's like asking, I don't know, to hang out, or, you know, and it's like, I struggle with that so much because I'm like, I want to be friends with all of you. Like,
Yeah.
like realistically, I just don't have time. Like, I think that is probably the only boundary I'm like capable of setting, is that I don't have time. So it keeps me from being able to go and hang out with my clients. I mean, there's definitely some that I do. Like I just went to dinner with one last week. Love her. Definitely more of a friend now than a client. But that, it also gets weird when it comes to like financially, and you know, I feel bad charging people that I love. So it's like you're like, I love just seeing you and catching up with you. I'm just happen to be doing hair at the same time. So, you know, it's difficult. I have yet to, I think, master that. As you know, I'm still constantly like, I don't know how to answer that.
No, I think you answered it so well because the lines are blurred
constantly.
And it's so hard. And I understand that too when people say that we should get together for dinner or coffee to pick brain or to talk business. And I'm like, okay, so this is not like two friends getting together. Like you're looking for business advice, or you're looking maybe to pitch yourself to me to be featured on the podcast, or for an opportunity. And so it can be really hard to say what is a genuine friendship, and what is something that you're kind of looking to leverage. Like, and I mean, for you, like it's a service. Like they're here to get their hair done. And so it could be really, really difficult. Like same even when I get invited to events, it's like, do I get invited to an event for a public appearance, or do they want me at that event because they think it might make them look good?
Absolutely.
And I don't mean to like put myself on a pedestal.
I know what you're saying. Yes,
it's true. 100%. And it can be really hard. Or do they want me at that event because they genuinely want me there? And so I really have to kind of try to set those standards for myself too. It is hard, especially as a woman.
Yeah, because we're motherly. We're, you know, like when I have a client in my chair and we get deep, it's like now we have this connection, because you don't talk about deep stuff like this running into somebody at Walmart. You just don't, you know? So it's like, now I know you on a deeper level. I know really important things about you. And I try not to share too much about myself for that reason. But sometimes, you know, you just talk and things come out. And it's a very gray area. It's that I'm still learning. And I mean, I praise any hairstylist, any service provider who has mastered that, because I can't do that.
Yeah.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah. In terms of boundaries though, Lena, like I know, again, kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier with your video that you posted on social media, like, do you have people messaging you quite a bit in the evenings? Do you have an automated message, or do you just leave it now?
Well, now I just answer.
You do
I'm
answer.
really just trying to answer. But
Are
I get
you
messages.
burning out though from doing that?
Probably.
Yeah.
But I'm a one-woman show. Like, I'm the only one. I don't have a receptionist. I don't have staff members. Like, I'm the only one to do hair, answer messages, answer the phone, clean this entire salon. I'm the only one that does all of that, like cut all my foils, do all the inventory, do all the side business stuff that you don't realize is there, but it's there and you need to do it. And, when I'm working, I'm so back to back. Like, it's a special day. And this, it's a special day if I get to use the bathroom or even, God forbid, have a snack. Like, I don't get that time. So when my phone's going off all day, I don't have time to look at it literally until I'm in my house. But then I'm in my house and I have 5 children to take care of. So it's just hard. I think I need to get into a better routine, or maybe even everyone says to me, take an extra day off a week. Like, you don't need to work 5 days a week and then focus on that stuff. And I think I may have to, honestly, but I'm learning. I think every year I learn more and what to do and what not to do. And that's the beauty of being a business owner, I think,
Yeah. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
We're all evolving. We're all learning. And I think like even just realizing it, I think, Alina, and learning that that's going to be something that you're going to have to set for yourself. You're going to have to set a boundary, like those boundaries for yourself now. Instead of with others, it's going to be for you. It's like, okay, yes, I'm closed Mondays, but this is the day I'm going to be able to get stuff done, or I take it as a self-care day, or you allocate like that time in the evening, like 1 hour in the evening to answer emails, reschedule those appointments. But I mean, for you, when you're thinking about all the things that you're doing behind the scenes, like I didn't even think of inventory. All I was thinking was like rescheduling appointments, trying to move people around, trying to also navigate, okay, well, like maybe my daughter has a field trip that she wants me to come on, or like they're having, like, what am I doing with the kids for the PA day? Like, and then there's the mom guilt that sets in because now you're done work because you've been on your feet all day, your hands have been in everyone's hair.
Yeah.
And then now you need time for yourself to eat, but yet you gotta spend time with the kids. Like,
time for myself does not exist.
No.
But I'm okay. I'm okay about that. Like, if I get it, that's great. But to be honest, if I get it, I tend to just snap. Like, I need to rejuvenate that energy. And I'm okay with that because at this period of my life, that's what I need, honestly. But my kids, like, especially my older two, like, they've been torturing me, man. They're literally like, Mommy, you're always working. And I'm like, well, like, yeah. I mean, it's different when you're hearing it from them. I'm like, I still spend every weekend with you guys. Like, this is just normal. Like, this is, in my opinion, this is what people do, But what's difficult with my job is if, for example, I just received the email from my kids' school that their Christmas concert is on this specific day. Well, I'm booked until January. So now I have to reschedule certain clients in order to attend this thing, because if I don't, which obviously I'll be super sad if I don't, but I'm going to hear it. Like, I'm going to hear about it, and it's like, and I don't want to miss something like that. But now I'm upsetting clients and moving them around. So I end up working on my days off to accommodate my children's. It's just hard, and I think there's going to get to a point where they're going to be older and it won't be like this. And that's okay, because they all say you missed this time. So
yeah. Yeah. It's like, who would you rather disappoint? Your kids from missing that Christmas concert, or a client who they're going to get over it within a day? They're not going to remember.
I mean, obviously I don't want to disappoint my kids, but colleagues, certain clients don't get over it. Like, you have to think this is a business, right? So it takes one person to be really pissed off at me to write a terrible review. And it's like over something that I can't, like, okay, never mind. I won't go to the concert. I'll do your hair. It's like, there's always that line, right? Like, you worry about, are they going to bash me online, or are they going to tell other people? Like, there's always that worry, I think, when you work in this kind of industry, or like a client-based industry, for sure.
Thank you for being transparent about that and not sugarcoating it either, Alina, because you're right. Not everybody's understanding.
No,
not everybody's going to be okay with it. And you're right. Like, okay, do you now, I mean, let's really turn it on and flip things over and say, like, is it worth now disappointing my child who might not remember that I wasn't there for that Christmas concert? Or is it worth it, maybe my business being affected and losing clients because this person maybe has
God knows who they know.
Yeah, exactly.
Small town. And social media just blows up nowadays. So it's always a stressor. And I'm sure I can speak for anybody who owns a business in that aspect. It takes one person. You piss off the wrong person. And, you know, it's like, and I've seen it happen where it's like, I don't know. I don't know like what the right thing is to do.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
you learn as you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You piss off a couple people, I guess. I am willing to piss off people for my kids' Christmas concert. Like that's kind of a big one.
Depends who it is. No.
Well, yeah, actually.
You know what you have to remember too, Alina, and I think that this is something that I just have so much more appreciation for my own mom, is that like, if you weren't doing this, you would be doing something else.
Yeah.
You would be maybe away at an office. I remember my parents, like, I love telling the stories that both of my parents had 3 girls and they would jump on the ACL bus. They would take us off to daycare or the babysitters, come back home for whatever reason, jump on the ACL bus instead of driving to work to save some money. I'm like, but that is just so much more of a hassle. No, I don't think they have it anymore. We have no transportation in the office.
No, we don't.
But then they would go to work a full day, come home, like get off the bus, go get the car, go and pick us up, then come home, then get dinner ready, whip us off to Girl Guides, soccer practice, swimming lessons, you name it, whatever it was. And I'm like, Mom, like, how did you have time to iron is the question I said I have for you. Like, because she would make time to iron in terms of all of this, or sew our Girl Guide badges onto her sash and like teach us how to tie and like all the things. And I'm just like, how did you have time? Like, how were you not exhausted? But back then, also kind of putting into like that selfish child perspective, you're never home. Why aren't you there to get off the bus? You weren't here for my first period when so-and-so's mom was. I don't get homemade cookies when I get home off the bus. I have to eat leftovers or cookies from a box. Like those little things. And I say to my mom all the time, I can't imagine the mom guilt that you must have had missing
they
those
don't
moments.
know.
No, and my mom was just like, you're going to appreciate it when you're older. All I can say is I'm sorry, but I need to work. And I make damn sure that like my evenings and weekends are dedicated to you and the girls. And so now being a parent myself and knowing about how to set those boundaries for myself, and that there are going to be days where your kids hate you and don't like you, and they are going to say it at some point when they get older and they're not going to appreciate it, but it's just like you have to let it. You have to roll with the punches, let it roll off your back, and just know that like they're going to appreciate it someday. They're going to understand it, just not now.
I'm kind of a straight shooter when it comes to my kids with that. Like I will literally say to them, if they're like, you're always working, I'm like, oh yeah? I'm like, those lavish birthday parties that you want and I start like naming things. I'm like, if I wasn't working as much as I am, you wouldn't have any of that. Like I want them to understand that like life, there's a cost to life. Like it's just, and especially in this day and age right now, it's the worst I honestly think it's ever been, at least in my lifetime.
Totally.
Yeah. And it's like, you just need to do that. And I hope that one day that will transpire into great work ethic for them. And, that they'll remember that I was at, every dance show and every, like my daughter dances, like not school concerts. That's different. But, like every gymnastics competition and every horse riding, like hockey, like I was there. And I think like those are the moments they're going to remember anyways, right? Yeah. Not that.
That's right.
Not that grade 2 Christmas concert that I'm not going to miss, but I could. So, yeah. You just, every day is different. You just don't have high expectations of myself every day. It's like, I'm just doing my best and we're going to get through this day. And
every mom is in the same boat. We all go through the same things, no matter what job we're in.
Yeah, I know. And like, I don't remember being upset at my mother growing up because she was always working. I don't remember that though.
Yeah.
Like, whereas my kids, like, even my 4-year-old should be like, Mommy, you done work now? I'm like, it's 10, honey. I just started my client. Like, I'm not done work. And she's like, okay. Just can't win. But
I know.
Anyway, we'll go to the park after. It's like,
Any boss babe, no matter what career, field, or industry she is in, should feel comfortable with the uncomfortable and look towards achieving a goal that they have for themselves. They should manifest it and work towards making it happen.
Yeah.
And Alina, you're doing that through hosting a paid hairstyling workshop that's never been brought to the Ottawa Valley before. Yeah. So tell us where this idea came from and why you wanted to bring this exclusive workshop to hairstyling babes to level up their expertise.
Okay, so I love the idea of education in hairstyling. I've always done it. I've always, purchased education for myself to get to know skills to then do them on clients. I've never stopped doing that. But it's been brought up to my attention, from different hairstylists when, like, in the area, when I post, a certain balayage that I do or a certain technique that I do get messages like, oh, I wish I knew how to do that. And then it like clicked. I'm like, why don't I teach them? Like, really, why don't I teach people how to do that? If that's something that they're interested in, and if they like my work and they want to learn, like, everyone has a different technique and a different way of doing things. But if they want to learn the way I do it, like, sure, I'll gladly do that. And I've always said I will retire this business by like teaching a high school like cosmetology class. Like, I think the idea of teaching is so cool, especially if it's in this industry. So, I mean, why not start here? And I think it'll be great. It'll be so much fun.
And at the time of this recording, you're halfway sold out.
Yes.
You still have a couple more spots left.
Yeah.
What else can people expect? What are you doing to kind of like make it a unique experience for hairstylists?
So I want it to be fun. Like, I want there to be, wine. And no, we're not going to get drunk, but everything is more fun. Yeah. A glass or two of wine. I'm going to have charcuterie. Like, we're going to have swag bags for sure, of different articles that I cannot balayage without. And this is a balayage course, so I want to kind of give these out to my viewers, I guess. What are those called? Who are coming to the class. Yeah. And then we're just gonna laugh. They're each gonna have their own pamphlets that they can then take home and review this, because this is gonna be a lot of information. They may not remember everything I've said or every technique I've showed them on hair, so it'll all be on paper for them to take home and kind of revisit if they need to. And I'm just like, I want to have a great day. Every class that I've gone to has been such a memorable experience, and I want to give that to these girls. And I also love to meet new hairstylists and, make new friends in the business, and that's always a good thing. And, make connections, and yeah. I just, like, I'm really excited. I'm nervous, but I'm excited.
It's going to be great. And you've been manifesting this for quite some time.
Yeah.
And you wanted to do this for so long.
A long time.
It's so affordable. It's $225 all in.
Get all of that.
Yeah, for all of that. And then, of course, I get to learn from, in my opinion, in my biased opinion, the best. So it's honestly so amazing, so that people don't have to go to Ottawa or Toronto to learn from somebody else who,
that's the issue around here. You have to travel for education, which it's enough to pay for the course, but on top of it, to travel, get a hotel, because this is a whole day, sometimes a whole weekend course. It ends up being not feasible, honestly, for a lot of local hairstylists here. So, and honestly, even Ottawa doesn't offer that many of them. It's mostly Toronto or like up in the States if you're really looking into high-end stuff. And well, that's super expensive for most people. So I just wanted to offer it more affordable, local, and see how it goes. And you know what? If I just end up doing the one class, then that's great. Like, I'm not, like, I don't have expectations other than I want to have fun. It's going to be great. And yeah.
Alina, if you could give yourself one piece of advice, some words of wisdom, or a pep talk to your former hairstyling self when you first started out, what do you think it would be?
Probably like trust the journey. Yeah, that it does work out. Like, you're going to go through ups and downs. You're going to meet, people that you may like, dislike. It's all part of the game, and just trust it, like, manifest it, and you will get there.
Well, and doing it with 5 kids.
Yeah, well, that's just the detail. Yeah. A more complicated one, but it works fine. It gives me that motivation to do it, if anything. I'm like, I'm doing this for them and for me too, because I do love what I do, and I'm very happy doing this. I love my job and love the people, and definitely my calling in life for sure.
I definitely second that. I think that you are so meant to do this, Alina, and I'm so proud of you. And
ditto.
Yeah. And who is one local boss babe, Alina, that has inspired you throughout your entrepreneurship journey that you think everybody should know about?
I have to pick one.
Just one.
Honestly, I would probably say you. Out of it's hard to pick one because I know so many amazing business owners around here, and they're all amazing. But I think you and I have just had this special relationship from day one. And I remember when you came to my house during COVID with your little newborn, and you said to me, I have this idea. I want to start this podcast. And I was like, that is freaking awesome. Like, you are the person to do this. And I see like how much you've evolved. And honestly, Holly, like, you are so good at this stuff. I tell everyone this. Watching you, and was it Calabogie we went to? That was the first time I seen you do this live, and like in person live. And I was like, oh my God, she can like read the person's energy and like snap it back and bring it back. And like, you did it. And I am so proud of you. Honestly, like, you're always like hyping me up, but like, I need to hype you up. I try on a daily basis. I know you do. It's imposter syndrome. You have it too. Let's be honest. Yeah. Honestly, like, you inspire me. Like, you're just like, you're doing it with a lot of kids too, and
thank you.
Yeah, I love you, and I'm so proud of you.
Cheers to us, honestly.
Wish we had like
I know. Yeah, now that everybody knows that I'm pregnant, I'm like, can't have my handbags fine for this.
I'm like, do you want coffee?
Yeah. Well, Alina, thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. I mean, you know that the respect and the feeling is mutual.
I know.
I am so grateful for our friendship and our journeys together. Like, I mean, we go so far back, and just
crazy
how both of us have built our empires and have done it so successfully, but also with a lot of blood, sweat, tears behind the scenes. I mean, I feel like I'm constantly in here, whether it's just popping in to visit you or coming to just quickly get my hair done.
I love that.
I know. And I'm just so grateful that we have this. And I'm just so glad that you are now here celebrating your first, which is one of many years in business together. So years together. Because I'm coming along with her, I know, obviously.
Well, you are. I mean, but whether you like it or not.
Yeah, but many, many years to go. And whatever that might look like, and the team that you're eventually going to build and expand on. And hopefully in 2024, maybe we can add a receptionist or admin support or something.
I need that in my life. I need to expand first. Yeah. And then a receptionist is coming for sure, because I can't do that. I can't handle all that.
So where can everybody find you, Alina? I know you're Modern Mane Hair on Instagram, but I think you're still you have to change that on Facebook.
I can't change that. That's why it's the way it is, because you can only change your name on Facebook one time. Oh. That's the thing. That's it, which I did not know. So when I changed it to Alina Marie Hairstyling, when I first opened this business, not having a specific name in mind yet, I'm like, I'll just name it for me, like, for now. I switched it to that. So now I cannot switch it to Modern Mane unless I were to open a brand new Facebook account. But all my followers are already on the other one. So that is why it's the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah, which is very frustrating. I'm like, anyway.
People will find you. They'll find you either way.
I'm mostly on Instagram anyways. That's definitely my main social media platform that I use is definitely Instagram. But yeah, that is why. Okay, that's not on purpose. Good. Otherwise, it would be Modern Mane on Facebook too.
Well, thank you again, Alina, for being a part of OB Boss Babes. Love you so much.
I love you too.